Good afternoon, everybody. What is going on? I am jeffgrantMEDIA. In today's unboxing and first impressions video, we've got a package from Rose Anvil. Yes, the Rose Anvil that takes very nice, very expensive boots and cuts them in half. Yes, many people know them for that, for cutting boots in part and telling you what their actual construction is made out of and all that, but they actually make leather goods and products. So what's inside here is actually two of their boot breakers, the foam and the leather boot breakers. Now, I believe they started with the foam specifically for the Red Wing Iron Rangers because these boots are notoriously difficult and uncomfortable to break in. Now, I did request a sample of the foam 2mm boot breakers when I knew I was going to order these before I did, but they just arrived today, like an hour ago, hot off the presses. So these Red Wing Iron Rangers are about 2 weeks old, and I also have these brand new Craft and Glory Heritage Engineer boots that are about a week old. So I've got probably a week's worth of wear on both of these boots. I got these, I was wearing these for a week, then the Craft and Glories arrived, so I've been wearing these, and now I'm switching back and forth between the two. But the issue with my Craft and Glories is they're a tiny bit too big. So at the time, I didn't know that I was going to need them, but Rose Anvil asked me if I wanted to also take a look at the leather boot breakers in addition to the foam, so I can kind of showcase that they do make two different versions and test them both out and see what I like them. So I said, yeah, sure. Obviously, I will definitely check out the leather ones. I love leather insoles. So they sent them as well, and they are going to probably be the perfect size to stick inside my Craft and Glory boots to take up that little bit of extra space to make these boots a little bit more comfortable to wear. But before we can do that, we have to open up the package. So let's start by checking these things on out. And again, these just arrived. I was waiting on the porch for the postman because he's normally here like an hour earlier than he came. Ooh, there we go. So we'll start with now these are 2mm thick boot breakers. They have 2mm, 4mm, and 6mm foam boot breakers. The 2mm are black, the 4mm are blue, and the 6mm are green, all of which come in at $25 USD and are available in 4 different size variations, so you can get a pair that will fit your size boots. Now, the leather boot breakers come in a thin, medium, and thick. The thin is 2.5 to 3mm, the medium is 3.5 to 4mm, and the thick is 4.5 to 5mm, all of which come in at $29 USD and are also available in 4 different size ranges to fit your boots. So again, the foam were the original request so I could ease into breaking in my Red Wing Iron Rangers. I will say I've had these for 2 weeks. I've worn them for about a week, and they aren't as bad as I thought they'd be. I watched a lot of videos, a lot of reviews, and I've tried on a ton of these. And you could tell putting them on that they are substantial, they are stiff, and they are going to take some time to break in. And while yes, these are certainly going to take probably a couple of months to fully break in and mold to my foot, I will say they were not as bad as I thought they were going to be. But the foam boot breakers are going to be a huge help in breaking these things in. Now, also included inside the packaging were these. 2 of them. These are actually the size guides. So if you check out this piece of paper, you can see these are the size 7.5 to 9. And at the top there, you can see where they have indicated the sizes from 7.5 through 9.5 sizes. So what you would do is take your insole, you're going to line it up with the heel, and then you will essentially cut the insole with the paper so you get the insole to the right size. So what I would do would be I would take this and I would cut this to the 8.5 because both of these boots are an 8.5, and then I will cut that down so I know that that is the 8.5 size, and then I will put the insole to that, and I will just trim the insole off, and then my insoles will fit into my boots. Now, I will say I am going to put these directly into my boots without trimming them. I want to see if they will fit. If they are bunched up and a little bit big, I will simply trim them down. Now the Rose Anvil leather boot breaker. Now this is the 2.5 to 3 mil thickness. So I took the right insole out of my Crafting Glory. You can see it's tagged Crafting Glory. I believe these are 2 mil, but if we look at them side by side, even though this one's worn for about a week, so it is a little compressed and taking the shape of my foot, it looks like anyway, it looks like it's a little bit thinner than the Rose Anvil. Now, I'm kind of torn whether or not I should put the Crafting Glory insole on top of the Rose Anvil insole, because these have started to mold to my foot already, or if I should put the Rose Anvil Boot Breaker on top of the Crafting Glory insole. So I'm not really sure which way I'm going to go. I'll probably put one in each boot in each different way and just see how it feels, because I don't really need these to break into boots. While these are brand new and they still do need to be broken in, they're just a little bit too big. So I kind of want the leather insoles to just take up a little bit of that extra space, because with a slide-on boot, that be a harness boot, that be an engineer boot, that be a cowboy boot, you're generally going to get a little bit of heel slippage. I'm getting a little bit more than I'm comfortable with. Now, the one benefit of an engineer boot is you have this strap that can tighten it down to the instep, and even fully tightened down, I'm still getting a little bit of heel slippage. So really what I want to do is just take up a little bit of that extra space inside the boot. So, yeah, I don't really necessarily need to have the leather boot breakers on top to be a little bit more comfortable, although this does feel a little bit more squishy than the Veg 10 ones that came with the Crafting Glory. So I'll probably try one boot with the insole on top, the Crafting Glory insole on top, and one boot with the Rose Anvil insole on top, and see which one feels a little bit better. So again, like the I almost called these the Rose Anvil, like the Iron Rangers, I will toss this in first to see if it'll fit without trimming, but you can see this, there's certainly a little more bulk in the leather, mostly in the width, and it's not quite as pointed. It looks like overall the length is about the same. It looks like the length is about the same, but there is some more width in the Rose Anvil, so I might have to do a little bit of trimming on that, but again, toss them both in and see how they feel. Now we're going to try these on first. I have a pair of Smart Wool socks. Now these are probably like a medium weight boot sock. This is about what I would normally wear. I will wear a lighter sock in the summer just because I run really hot, so I don't really wear a heavier or medium weight boot sock in the summer. Now these I might wear because these are merino wool, so these will kind of wick and kind of keep my feet from stinking a little bit. But generally I will wear a medium weight boot sock in the winter. So this is this time of year, it's January. This is what I will wear basically on the daily. So first we're going to put the insoles inside the boots, and then we're going to try each of the boots on. Now, after I struggled just a little bit to put that in, I realized I didn't record it. Now, it wasn't really difficult to put it in, but because the foam boot breakers are only 2 mil thick, there's not a lot of structure to it. So even loosening up the laces all the way, I mean, the tongue of the boot is gusseted, so I can't just like pull the tongue out. So really, it's just that there's not a lot of structure. So you kind of have to just work it. So I folded it in half, I kind of tacoed it, and I worked it up front as far as I could get it. And then what I did was I got the heel set. My watch band keeps getting stuck on the boot. I probably should have taken that off. So I got the heel set, and then I just kind of worked it with my fingers, and I just kind of smoothed it out and just kind of switched back and forth so I get a different angle. And it took, I don't know, only took like a minute or so, and probably when I put my foot in there, it'll just kind of smooth it in. But it's just because the foam insoles don't have a ton of structure, and they're also got a little bit of grip on the underside, so they're sticking to the leather insole, so they don't just slide in, which is good because you don't want them to get in there and then just slide around, because then your foot will essentially be on a slip and slide inside your boot the entire time you're wearing it, and it's not going to be comfortable at all. So it just takes a little bit of working it, and if I'm not trying to talk to you about what I'm doing, it'll probably go a little bit quicker. But I just about got it, so there we go. We have a little smooth it out. There's one little bump right there. I just gotta kind of, it's like putting a cell phone screen protector on, where you just kind of working the bubbles out a little at a time. There we go. It's basically in there. So now we have the boot breakers in the foam boot breakers in my Red Wing Iron Rangers. Now for the leather ones, I still have the insole in my left boot, so we'll take the left insole, and we're going to try to put this one directly on top of the insole that's already in there. Now, because these are much stiffer, these should be much easier to insert. I should be able to just force them to the toe of the boot. I just got to fold it just a tiny bit. If I can get my thumb, there we go, I felt it go up. There we go. And now for the right boot, we're going to put the Crafting Glory on top. So what I'm going to do is stick the Rose Anvil one in first. I don't want to do two at once because then I'll just end up making a huge mess. So we'll get that in there. That went in much, much easier because there's no insole in there. It just slid on the bottom of the boot. So we'll just slide that in. Pop that down. Good to go. Take the Crafting Glory. No, the Crafting Glory one slid right in because that's perfect. So there we go. Now we're installed in both the boots. The left boot of my Crafting Glory Engineers, I have the Rose Anvil on top. And the right of my Crafting Glories, I have the Crafting Glory on top. So now let's just try these things on and see how they feel. We'll start with the Red Wings. Okay. Ooh. I can say already, I can feel it. I can feel, they don't feel tight. That's good. I was a little worried that the Red Wings were going to feel tight because these fit pretty good. I did not want to make these any smaller. I think I pulled my laces all cockeyed though. All right. All right, so, oh wow. That really, I mean, it's not a lot of foam. It's 2 millimeters, but you really can immediately tell the difference. Like just standing up, they just feel so much better. Wow. Now they do take up a tiny bit of space inside the boots. My right boot, I can kind of feel right here at the toes on the by the cap, but it's not bad. Like I could just feel it. So in the summer with the thinner sock, probably fit perfectly. But wow, I was a little skeptical, to be honest, that a little 2 millimeter piece of foam was going to make that much difference. But they feel considerably more comfortable. Wow, but these do feel considerably better. I can't believe it. I didn't expect it. I was skeptical. I thought they would feel a little bit more comfortable, but I didn't think I'd notice it immediately. I thought this was something that I would probably feel after wearing them for a day or two. Like I noticed, like, okay, maybe my feet are just a little bit less sore now, but I can immediately feel the difference putting them in than not having them in. Now the left boot, which is weird because my left boot has a higher instep than my right, it feels totally fine. Where the right, I can kind of feel my toes right at the top where the cap is. I can kind of feel them. It doesn't hurt at all. It's not uncomfortable, but I can just feel it pressing there just a little bit. That's crazy how comfortable they feel right away. Now, they're still going to take time. Red Wing Iron Rangers are going to be a process to break in, but they feel so much better immediately. Like, it's a big surprise. I really am taken back by how much better they felt immediately trying them on with the 2 millimeter thick foam boot breakers. But wow, that's a big difference. We'll pop these buddies off and we'll try on the engineer boots to see if they took up that little bit of space we needed, and at the same time we'll see if they feel better with the Rose Anvil on top or the Rose Anvil on the bottom. Okay, left boot first. This has the Rose Anvil Boot Breaker on the top. Okay, not bad. Won't really know till we walk around though. Now the right boot has the Crafting Glory insole on the top. Okay. Sitting down, I can't really tell the difference between what insole is on top, so. All right. I can feel the right boot. Let's walk around, but I think the right boot feels a little bit more comfortable. That's the one that has the Craft and Glory insole on top, but that's also the insole that was already a bit broken in and a bit molded to my foot. Now, I am still experiencing a little bit of heel slippage, but it is certainly less heel slippage than I was experiencing prior to having the leather boot breakers in there. So, torn though. You know what? I don't know. I don't know if the right one's more comfortable. I can feel that the right one is, my foot's sitting in there better just because, again, it's molding to my foot. But it doesn't take long. I only have a week's worth of wear. But the Rose Anvil is a little bit softer leather. So I think I'm going to put the Rose Anvil Boot Breakers on top of the Craft and Glory Veg Tan insoles. I think my left boot's a tiny bit more comfortable trying them on, but it did take up enough of that space. Like, I am getting a little bit of heel slippage, but it's certainly less than what I was getting before I added those boot breakers, the leather boot breakers in there. So they're definitely staying in. Yeah, I think I'm going to put the Rose Anvil on top and the Craft and Glory Veg Tans on bottom. Because just standing here, I can feel in my heel of my right foot isn't as comfortable as the heel in my left foot. And the left boot has the Rose Anvil on top. So we're going to swap the right boot to match the left. And we're basically going to have the Rose Anvil boot breakers on top of both of my pairs of boots. So I don't know if you could see down into the deep dark hole that is the shaft of the engineer boots, but both of the Rose Anvil leather boot breakers are on top of the Craft and Glory insoles. And then obviously in the Iron Rangers, which you could probably, you could see the logo down there, but both of the 2mm foam boot breakers are on top in the Iron Rangers. Now, I'm taken back. I'm surprised at how much more comfortable these felt immediately. Again, I was skeptical. I figured they would feel better for sure, but I thought it would take me like a day or two to notice them in there, but I immediately felt them. And I intentionally wore these today because I wanted to see how they felt before and then after the boot breakers. I knew the boot breakers were coming today. I intentionally requested the boot breakers for these boots. I requested them before I bought them. They just happened to come a little bit after I got them, but they immediately felt more comfortable with the boot breakers in there. Now, they're only a 2mm thickness, so they are going to not take up, they didn't take up a lot of space. Like I said, the right boot, right at the cap, I felt just a tiny bit of my rubbing, but if I wear a thinner sock, that's probably going to be a non-issue, and then the summer will be a non-issue, but really, it wasn't uncomfortable at all. It just took up a little bit of space inside the boot, but it didn't take up much. Now, if you need to take up more space in your boot, they come in 6mm. So, I mean, honestly, I kind of want to get like a pair of 6mm and put them in here because while these boots are comfortable, these are brand new, again, a week old, so these still have to be broken in themselves, but those foam boot breakers are incredibly comfortable. But really, now that even saying that, the leather, I switched them. The leather boot breakers are really comfortable because this isn't my first pair of Craft and Glory boots. I do have another pair of Craft and Glory boots that I've actually had for quite some time now. These are really molded to my foot. These things I've had for, I don't know, maybe 6 months or so at this point. So I've really gotten a lot of wear in these boots, and these are really, really comfortable, and they have the same Veg Tan insoles that my engineer boots have, and these are really comfortable. So I know that the Veg Tan insoles that are inside my engineer boots are comfortable. I knew even before I got them, but those Rose Anvil ones, they are really, really nice. They're a little bit more squishy, so they're giving me a little bit more comfort. So that's why I switched the right to the Rose Anvil on top as well. But yeah, they still have a tiny bit of heel slippage, but I can pull these down one more belt loop. I did loosen them. I had a thicker sock on yesterday, so I needed to loosen them. I couldn't get them off with the thicker sock. It was pretty cold yesterday, so I had a thicker boot sock on, so I loosened them for that. But I can tighten these down one more notch, and then I will probably be able to take out that little bit of extra heel slippage between the boot breaker in here and tightening down my belt a little bit. I'm gonna have a lot more comfortable boot. And I can't really say like how much I'm surprised. I really am genuinely surprised at how much more comfortable these felt immediately. Like, again, not as bad as I thought they were gonna be. I watched so many videos on these boots and I was like, man, my feet are gonna be bleeding. They're gonna be so uncomfortable, they're gonna be bleeding. And while I will sometimes wear my boots for 13, 14 hours a day, I did take these off the first day right when I got home from work, but I probably could have left them on for a while longer. So I really only had them on for 9 or 10 hours. I put them on right before I left and I took them off right when I got home. At work for 8.5 hours. I don't work too far from the house, so 15, 20 minute commute. So say I probably had them on for like 9.5 hours the first day to be safe. And they weren't bad. My feet never bled. I didn't get any blisters with these or anything, but putting them on with the boot breakers immediately felt better. So I'm very surprised. Very, very surprised at how much more comfortable they were. So if you're looking at the boot breakers right now, there will be a full review. I'm going to test these and I will check back in to see how much better they do feel with time. Maybe they're only 2 mil. Maybe they'll wear out and they won't be as comfortable after 2-3 days. Maybe they'll stay comfortable for the entire time and beyond. I don't know. That's why we're going to test them out and find out. In addition, the leather boot breakers, same thing. Both of these pairs of boots are currently in rotation for review, so these are going to be probably the only, maybe I might mix it up if it's snowing, I might have to put on a snow boot, but basically I'm going to live in these 2 pairs of boots for the next month or 2, so I will be wearing the boot breakers in both of these for the next month or 2, so when I wrap up the full real user reviews of both these boots, I will also be wrapping up the full real user review of the Rose Anvil Boot Breakers. So give me about a month, maybe a little bit more, because since I'm doing 2 pairs at a time, I wear a pair for a couple days, I switch into the other. So it's not a straight month of wear or use of singular products. That's why it's going to be a little bit longer, but also 2 pairs of insoles inside each pairs of boots. So there will be a full real user review of the Rose Anvil Boot Breakers, both the foam and the leather, coming in, give me about a month and a half, maybe 2 months time. So stay tuned, and don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Smash that big red button, and ring that bell right next to it so you get notifications the next time I post a brand new video. Good night.